Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder. In today's video, we are taking the bike down to BikeNuts to hopefully have her electrical fault sorted out. So without further ado, sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, and without further ado, let us get into the video. So ladies and gentlemen, how are we all doing? I hope you're all doing great in this lovely sort of summer weather that we're having at the minute. By all accounts, it's meant to get very cold and very wet soon, so we should enjoy this weather while we have it, which is precisely what I'm doing. Today is a day that we take the bike down to BikeNuts to let Reese and Aaron work a bit of magic on her and hopefully try and figure out what the stalling issue is. I've ruled out the obvious things such as the regulator rectifier, spark plugs, TPS sensor and coolant levels. The only thing I haven't ruled out yet is the cam timing, which I'm hoping is fine, because if it's not fine, there is a very big issue. It means that the bike could have to be taken apart, which is something I don't really want to do. But if that's the case, then that's the case. The new map that me and Devon put on the bike the other day seems to still be working well. No complaints there from me. I just wish I could figure out what this intermittent stalling issue is, because before, if you guys remember, she would always stall between 85 and 95 degrees ish, whereas now she's stalling at 100, 103 or so. So I don't actually think it's the cam timing itself. I actually think it's an intermittent sensor issue, I dare say, but we shall see. I'm hoping it's going to be something fairly straightforward, like for example, it's just the thermostat is on the blink, because by all accounts, when me and Devon did the diagnostics on the bike the other day, the TPS seemed to be set pretty well. Devon did say that the TPS should be set somewhere between 2.5 and 2.6, which is exactly where it was at yesterday and the day before when we actually did the flash. So I'm a little bit perplexed as to what it could be, but I think I managed to narrow it down to one of 3 or 4 things. Like I say, the thermostat, some sort of temperature sensor somewhere is on the blink, which leads me to believe it's obviously temperature related, because when the bike's cold, she doesn't stall, never. Which leads me to believe, like I said, that is a temperature issue. And if that's the case, it shouldn't take too long for Reese to figure it all out. Well, I say that, but should say, electricity and Ducatis don't always go hand in hand. They're not always the easiest things to diagnose. Believe me, I have a hard enough time diagnosing mechanical issues, let alone fucking electrical issues. But I'm hoping, like I said, Reese and Aaron, well, it'll be primarily Reese, I think. Hopefully they'll be able to sort it out and get the old girl firing on all cylinders. Because I'm not being funny, since doing that new flash, and I said this in a previous video, since the new flash was put on the ECU, she does feel like she's got a bit more get up and go. A bit more, I don't know whether, like I said in the other video, I don't know whether it's the placebo effect or what, but it just seems to feel like she's got more, you know, more grunt about her. And Devon did warn me that I should expect a little bit of a power increase, not by a huge amount, maybe 2 or 3 bhp, something like that, or maybe even not even that. But she just feels like she's got a lot more going on underneath the tank, if that makes any sense whatsoever. She just feels like, you know, she wants to run and pull and literally just do all the things that she was designed to do. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying for 1 second that BikeNuts have done anything wrong to the bike, because I know they haven't, because if they had done, I would know about it by now. So if there was an issue mechanically wise, I use the term loosely, if there was an issue mechanically wise, I'm pretty sure it would have, you know, reared its ugly head by now, but it hasn't. So I'm pretty confident that it's not a mechanical issue. In fact, I'm almost certain that it's an electrical issue, almost certain. To which case, if it takes a couple of days or so for the bike to be fixed, then so be it. I'm hoping it won't take that long, but if it does, it does. Bridge! customary blip under the bridge. It's got to be done. But like I've already said, ladies and gents, with this new map on the bike, it's early days. I've almost got to relearn everything. The throttle response is different now. Well, it feels different at least. She still handles pretty well, but she just got that a bit more assertiveness behind her. And I keep going back to the initial video I did when I first did the tune. Well, sorry, use the correct terminology. When I first did the flash on the ECU, she did feel like she had more torque underneath her. And again, it may just be the placebo effect. It might not be. It may be a case of she just does what she does, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? Are we still recording? I think we are. I can't quite tell. Yeah, we are. Woo! But it's one of those things, you know, it's difficult to turn around and say to someone, yes, this is definitely going to be the problem, this is definitely going to fix it. You know, it's like with anything else, cars, bikes, whatever. There's always going to be that element of, you know, not just human error, but that element of trial and error when it comes to trying to figure stuff out. If Rhys can figure it out in one day, great. If he can't, then naturally we have to start looking at other things. And I've also decided I'm not going to sell the 1098. I don't want to sell the 1098, I never had done. But where people have said, oh, you know, it's looking old, it's looking tired, blah 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 blah. Okay, yes, she is looking tired because she's a 13-year-old bike. She's never going to look pristine ever again, if I'm honest. Not while I've got her anyway. What I have decided to do is, instead of selling her or part Xing her for something else, I've decided to save up a bit of money, and over this winter I'm actually going to get her tightened up to the point where if she was a race bike, she could hang with the best out there. So that means things like new brake and clutch master cylinders, getting the wheels resprayed, and that doesn't really do a lot, but get the wheels resprayed so she looks mint. Maybe some new bodywork, or maybe get these ones cleaned up and repainted or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. Also looking at potentially getting some, not necessarily internal work done on the engine, but just giving her a proper good going over. You know, oil filter, air filter, new oil, and hopefully that will fuck off as well. That's the first stall so far this morning. Hopefully that's going to be the last. No, that's the second. What the fuck are you looking at? Anyway, I'm not going to let this kind of stuff get me down. I'm in a good mood, the weather is lovely, and I'm going to be seeing my mates down at BikeNuts, which is always an event. I'm hoping that what the bike just did then, and stalled twice, she's going to do for Rhys, so he knows that I'm not making it up. So it just seems weird that she's only doing it in the higher temperatures now instead of doing it down in the lower temperatures. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, I don't know whether it's because of a sensor issue or what. I checked the coolant in the radiator and in the expansion bottle, or expansion tank, sorry, and everything seemed to be well within parameters there. There's no air in the radiator itself, so I checked that as well. You know, I did, in inverted commas, burp it, so I know there's no issues there. So I know it's not that. So it must be a temperature issue, because there's no way that this should be stalling. And this is what I don't understand as well. If you guys remember a few months back, well, about a year ago now, when I did that dual vlog with New Biker, when we were going around all these weird and wonderful back roads, and I don't know where the fuck we ended up going, but I was giving the bike a serious amount of grief that day, and she took the abuse without any hesitation. She didn't stall, she didn't cough, didn't splutter. She just kept going and going and going. And that's the bit that I'm really perplexed about. You know, I'm not treating the bike in any way, shape or form badly, but I just don't understand why she decides to start acting up the way she is. And I'm almost certain there's going to be one or two things. It's either a fueling issue or it's a electrical issue. That's the only two things I could think of, because like I've already said, the coolant level was fine. There's no holes or dings in the radiator, there's no holes or dings in the expansion tank, nothing like that whatsoever. And like I've already said as well, according to Devon, the TPS level seems to be pretty much where it should be. So I don't understand what's going on, I really don't. It's a weird one because it just doesn't make any sense. Because any other temperature on the dial, you know, anything under 95 degrees, she's absolutely fine with. But as soon as you get over the 95 to 100 degrees kind of mark, that's when she starts throwing her toys out the pram. And that's the bit that really does bug me, because she'll be perfectly fine, she'll behave, and then out of nowhere, just and dead. It's like, really? It's not difficult to behave, do you know what I mean? Well, obviously it must be for this, because, you know, she's Italian. Also, can we just appreciate how gorgeous Chaz Davis's V4R looks in that baby blue and white with a bit of silver? Oh my good God. I'm going to throw a picture up of it as we go, so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because that bike looks delicious. I mean, it's not saying that there's not any other bikes on the grid that look good, but the V4R of Chaz Davis for the Go 11 team, oh my God, is it delicious. I mean, the Aruba.it Ducati, the factory Ducati should I say, that looks good as well, I guess. It's not really my cup of tea. Not anymore, because the actual design's a bit outdated. It is a bit meh. Do you know what I mean? But let's face it. Oh, excuse me. The Aruba.it team have been around for a good number of years now, and they haven't really changed their graphics on their bikes by a lot. I guess that's just personal preference for the team. Or it may be from a marketing perspective, which is why they've done it. I don't know. That's one big rubbish lorry. And then she does that on me. But that's the thing I don't understand. It's always when I roll off the throttle, not when I roll on. That's the bit that's bugging me the most. Fucking hell. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost there. Once we've got to BikeNuts, I'm going to have a brief chat with Reese, see what he says, and then we will go from there. There's absolutely no need for this traffic, I'm telling you. Why aren't you people at work? Excuse me, madam, why are you and your bulldog not at work? Well, as long as if the fucking dog can answer me, do you know what I mean? Oh, trees. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at BikeNuts. Once we're there and done, and I've spoken to Reese, I will be back with you to let you know what the deal is, how long it's going to take, or hopefully how long it's going to take, and everything else. So I shall see you in a few minutes.
A few moments later.
So ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the saddle, and we've spent a good amount of time with Reese, and he recommends that I go and get the bike dynoed, which is fine. He's put me in contact with a guy called Fabio, who works for who's got his own business called Desmo London, who I will be making contact with very, very shortly, probably later today in fact, to see when I can get this old girl booked in for a dyno run. I also made a new friend called Simon, who has a Panigale 1299 RS. I've never seen one in the flesh up until today, and my God, that thing, this looks and sound every bit of the 20 odd grand or whatever it was he spent on it. My God, not only was that thing as loud as holy hell, it looked like it was meant for the racetrack. I mean, obviously most Panigales these days are designed for the track rather than the street, but as you can appreciate, it's not every day you get to see a 1299 Panigale RS up close, so naturally I had to have a good old butcher's. It was definitely worth getting up close and personal with it, because speaking to the owner Simon, he actually put me in contact with Fabio, and like I said, we'll be making contact with him very, very soon with regards to getting this old girl dynoed and hopefully having the stalling issue ironed out. I'm hoping that this Fabio can do the work. I'm hoping as well that if I recommend his channel on YouTube, I might get a little bit of a discount. I don't know if I will, can only hope. I also want to make it abundantly clear to everyone that riding in the gear that I'm currently wearing, which is nothing more than a standard hoodie and jeans and trainers. I thought I was going to be coming home today on the train, hence why I didn't wear my normal gear. But just for future reference, do as I say, not as I do. Make sure you wear the appropriate gear for the appropriate conditions, and not do what I've done. I'm wearing a hoodie with no armour in it whatsoever and trainers. So if I come off now, it's going to be a very, very, very bad day for me, which is obviously something I don't want to happen. But if it does, you know, shit happens. You can't always account for every eventuality in life, but for the ones you can account for, you should really try and do your best to try and stay out of trouble. And like I always say, it's always best to wear the appropriate gear and be a little bit hot and sweaty, rather than not wear the appropriate gear and end up getting hurt if you come off. But admittedly, I should really take my own advice, but there you go. But I'm not going to be riding mad. It's too hot to be acting like a complete and utter numpty, so naturally I am not going to. I will only go fast as and when I see and deem it necessary and feasible and safe. Whereas now, as you can see, with the build up of traffic, it's not exactly appropriate to be trying to go hell for leather in a built up area. Just going back to that 1299 RS that I saw today of Simon's, he let me sit on it, and I kid you not, the seat must have been a good 3-4 inches higher than what this is. And I kid you not, I'm not exactly sure, but I could not flat foot that Panigale. I really couldn't. I was able to get maybe 1 foot flat down and the other foot possibly tiptoeing, but holy fuck, that bike was tall. And when I say it was tall, for me it was dangerously tall. I mean, the seat itself was probably about, maybe again, about an inch or so wider than what mine is, so that may have contributed to the height. But holy fuck, it was exceptionally tall, exceptionally hot, exceptionally noisy. Because what Simon told me about this particular bike was the exhaust system on his Panigale 1299 was from the, I think he said it was either the Aruba.IT Ducati squad, or it was from the Be Wiser Ducati team from a couple of years ago. Either way, the noise coming out of that thing was fucking insane. I mean, I know my bike's loud. I mean, you guys know that I love a loud bike. I always have done, I always will do. But his 1299 was on a different level. And I didn't actually know this, that there's 2 different styles of exhaust on those bikes. Well, the RS's anyway. There's a Rex 1 and then there's a Rex 2. Now, as far as I'm aware, the Rex 1 and 2 denotes the number of exhausts. But what I find slightly weird is that the Rex 1 still has 2 exhausts, except for the fact that one is lower down in the system, like in the belly pan where the termies are traditionally located, and the other exhaust comes up out under the seat on the right hand side. So I don't understand how that works, but that's apparently what it does. But all in all, I got a decent bit of information out of it. With speaking to Simon as well, he did recommend something that Reese actually did to his 1299 for this bike, which was adding a secondary switch to turn the fans on. And I never would have guessed to try that, but he did say that putting the secondary switch in means that the fans will operate when I want them to. So if I wanted to, I could have the fans on now and keep them on the whole entire time. Simon also recommended that I get something called engine ice. I don't know how good it is, but he did say that he's put some in his Panigale and the bike runs maybe 5 to 10 degrees cooler than what he did before. And in terms of it cooling down from being hot, he said that it takes half as long for the bike to get up to temperature and then back down again. Now, I don't know how much I should read into that, but by all accounts, he said that it does work a fair good treat, and it's worth having a go. So I may get Reese to order some engine ice for me, and I'll give it a bash and see how that turns out. It might turn out fine, it might turn out terrible. I honestly don't know. But just going back to the Fabio thing, Reese actually said, and Simon actually said, that this Fabio dude knows his stuff when it comes to Ducatis, and not just Panigales, but near enough all Ducatis. You know, him and someone that this guy Fabio and someone that he works with used to race in BSB and such like, so they know what they're talking about. You know, they've got the credentials to make my life either very, very pleasant or very, very painful, depending on what needs doing, of course. But we shall see. I don't know. I really, really don't know. And what I do know is that this bike is getting very, very hot underneath me. It's roasting my spuds, or should I say roasting my love plums. So as you can imagine, this is becoming exceedingly uncomfortable for me. But this is what I have to do for the content. This is what I do for you guys. You know, I love riding my bike in all conditions. Doesn't matter whether it's day or night, morning or noon. I just love being out on the bike, even when it's this hot. I know I say it's stupidly hot, and it is very warm. What is that idiot doing? But it is what it is, I guess. The weather today is fucking lovely. You know, I can't really complain. Today's been an alright day. Admittedly, I didn't get any closer to finding out what this stalling issue is, but I'm hoping with a little bit of help from this Fabio dude down at Desmo, London, I should, in theory, get to the bottom of it. That's the first stall of the afternoon. I suspect there's going to be at least one more. I say expect to be at least one more. No, more like there'll probably about half a dozen. See, I'm almost certain this is a temperature issue. Fuck me, I'll get my words out in a minute. Because why would it just randomly stall now? It almost seems like if I hold the throttle just where it is now, she won't stall. No, she will stall. But then start straight back up again. That's stall number 2. And it's done it again. Stall number 3. I don't know what's going on. I'll get to the bottom of it eventually, ladies and gents. Eventually. I'm almost certain it's a temperature issue. So you know when you just think to yourself, it does it more when it's hot and I'm riding slowly than it is when I'm riding fast. So it must be some kind of sensor issue. There's no other reason for it. It must be a sensor. But I'll let Fabio have a look at her, and hopefully he can shed some light. But again, this is another thing I don't understand. Now that it's at 92, sitting at 1300 RPM with a battery voltage of 14.1 volts, she seems happy enough. Do you know what I mean? Fucking Italian bikes, so you'd have them. Oh wait, me. I'm the silly fucker to buy them. And speaking of which, while we're on the subject of buying stuff, I'm actually very tempted in getting a set of lever guards for this bike. Because if you didn't already know, lever guards are now compulsory for UK track days. So if you're in the UK and you want to do a track day, you need to have at least one on the brake side, otherwise you can't actually do a track day. There's so much stuff that I want to do this year. I want to upgrade some bits on the bike, I want to do a track day. There's just so much I want to do, and it's not like I'm in a rush to do it, do you know what I mean? It's just one of them things, you know, I'm impatient. I'm one of those impatient fuckers who wants to do things now. Not in 10 minutes, not in an hour, not in a week. I want to do it yesterday. I'm just one of those guys that just can't wait. I have to have everything there and then and now. But that's just me. And if I wasn't like that, I wouldn't be true to myself, would I? And not only that, if I was too much of a sit back and wait kind of guy, you guys wouldn't be getting the content you're getting now. Am I going to get there? Yes, I am, just about. Fucking hell, that was closer than I wanted it to be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know it wasn't much of a video today. I know it was a bit of a wasted trip going to BikeNuts, but I had a nice conversation with Reese and Simon and Aaron. got some good contact details for someone who might be able to sort out the issue, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. And as always, thank you for sticking around, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got anything out of it, great. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments box down below, and I will do my best to get back to you as quickly and as efficiently as I can. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, saying look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe on the roads, be careful with COVID-19, and as always, adios!